So good morning and good evening. Welcome to the Circle of Harmony. And today the topic is, let me just pull it up. What am I choosing? So before we begin, just invoking Mother and Sri Aurobindo's, the Divine's grace and presence, and aspiring for more openness, suppleness, to be what I should be for a greater growth, a greater height, greater progress. Thank you. So, what am I choosing? So, the topic I felt can go in so many different directions because choices, the way we choose or what we choose or why we should choose what we should choose is just a very extensive topic, and we can see where all we go with it. And basically, I heard, I was listening to some yoga sutras, and there the person, Pradmanji, who was talking about, I don't know what the topic was, but he said that when I'm talking about the divine, when I'm resonating, when I'm listening, when I'm feeling the love, the divine, in that moment, in that hour, in that day, when I'm actively doing it, when I'm living it, I am the divine. So it's not that I'm talking about somebody and he's separate and I'm separate. So we are not talking about, the ultimate states. We are just talking about basic simplicity, simple, if we read something and it's beautiful, right? And it's just on our minds. So it's like you are the divine when you're talking about the divine. So I have the choice to be that. And the main topic, was that when what am I, who am I choosing to be? So, a lot of times we are not happy with who we are, right? We obviously, and that's good in some ways for greater progress, right? If we just get very satisfied, they say, right, we would not want to progress. And yet, if I have the choices, which I do, what am I choosing? And why? I mean, do I even know I'm choosing? Because a lot of times the choices that I make, they are very mechanical, right? It's just that, okay, I don't even think. Okay, it's lunchtime, I eat. It's okay, it's walking time, I go for walk. Like, and it's good, but it's like I don't see who I am choosing to be, what I'm choosing, what I'm identifying with. Because whatever I'm identifying with, I am that, I will become that. So, yeah, that was about the topic, at least, from where I saw it, and very open to it going into other extensions if that helps us in understanding and reflecting on this topic. So, any reflections, comments on this before we delve more into it?
When I read about the description of the topic today, it's one of my favorite topic as well in terms of making a choice. And I remember I was speaking to a friend, and she asked me once that, what is it in Savitri that you like the most? And like intuitively I said that the thing that I really like in Savitri is her courage to make choices, and strong choices. So I think, and that really resonated. And I still remember when when she made a choice of marrying Satyavan, and okay, only you and me are left.
That's good. Yeah.
So, I just like, when that she knew that he might not survive, like when Narad tells her that everything is good, but he's not live, and how the courage that she had, that and her father is saying, mother is saying that just marry someone else, or just you can find somebody, just because we really care for you, and you will think at least for some time, right, that what did do I really want to live through it? But then her answer, like, that I don't remember exactly, but she says that I have listened to my heart. It is the choice of my heart and the will I would execute, and this is what I want to do. So I think that was, and again, the choice that she made before the Yama as well. So that's so important. And for me as well, I keep reminding that there will be times when you have to make choices, and the choices that you will make will keep pressuring on you, or will test you, that did I do right? And especially if it was a big choice, that you had to do, that it was it a good decision. And the only thing that sustains me or really grounds me, when I just imagine Savitri as well, as sometimes I view myself as Savitri, and I just say that this was my choice. Now I don't know if it was right or wrong, but I did make a conscious choice at that time, and I will live through it. And of course, if there's something meaningful, if I need to be governed in a different direction, may mother do it, but I cannot de-honor my choice. So I think that in Savitri, somebody like the discussion we had was that the power of making conscious choices and living by it, no matter how difficult it seems. You have to and give up your life, but you still stick by that no, I will do it. So just on that, I really like the topic that was chosen. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Good side, good window to look out of. Yeah, because I never thought about it. This is an interesting question, that what do you like about Savitri? Because you can go on, and yet, yeah, choices. This is kind of very reflective, right? Like, whenever we are choosing truth and expansion over other things that are much more valued or prominent, या फिर what we call prachalit, right? Popular in our society, there is always a Narad who's telling us that don't do this, right? So if a child says he wants to be an artist, he's told that, oh, but you don't make money in that. Okay, you want to play an instrument. Oh, but what will you earn? Right? So we have these Narads standing there and telling us that, Satyavan won't live that long. Like, your truth won't live that long. The life will slap you, and you will be standing on your feet, and you will be wasting so much time. And almost all of us, I would say, 90%, I want to say honestly, 99% of us, we listen to that Narad, right? We say that, yes, yes, I want to do the conventional. I want to play it safe. Tell me, okay, Satyavan would die in a year. What would not die? I want 40 years, right? I want 50 years. And that's why so less of us are living what we want to live as, right? Living the life that we want to live, living the expanse that we are, because we heard those Narads around us and said, no, truth, I'm ready to let go because it will die. It would not sustain me. And, I guess Narad just gave her that information, and but for us, we are like taunted and criticized and, scared. We are like, fear is also inculcated, right? That if you will do this, oh my God, what would happen? Have you lost your mind? I remember that just on the same lines, and I know I'm digressing, but it feels beautiful, so happy to digress, that when I had finished with my MBA back, I don't know when, I was just doing some informational interviews, right? Which is a concept that you go and meet your seniors, your alumni, or other people and just ask how it is to be doing what you're doing. And I remember I went to Washington, D.C. to meet somebody from my city, and he was into NGOs, like he was working for an NGO, doing very humble living, everything. And I'd met other people too. And I said, everybody says that first you work, maybe 5 years, 10 years in regular corporate work. And then once you have done that, you can go into NGOs and stuff. And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, you'll never get into that then, because those 5 years, they never end. So if you feel you want to do something, if you believe in something, do it right now. Like, don't say that, okay, 2 years of corporate experience I want and stuff, because then it's just, right, it just grabs you. There is no coming out of it. And I thought that was very perspective and, practical of him, that how he didn't let those voices tell him what he should do. He just jumped right in. After a very, very expensive MBA program, he chose to just go for an MBA, for a not-for-profit simple job. So yeah, and on the same lines, and I'll end here, that movie La La Land, in that, when the hero is saying that I won't play jazz anymore and stuff, the other half, she says that, no, you must do it because you're passionate about it. And everybody loves people who are passionate about things. Something like this, I'm paraphrasing, that passion pulls people in, it draws because there's so less of it. So you don't stop. So that's, again, if I'm passionate about something, again, like, how Acharya ji, he says कि किसी के रोकने से अगर तुम रुक गए तो तुम कभी चले ही नहीं. So the same thing, right? That Savitri Satyavan analogy that you were discussing, that if I am ready to give up truth, I never wanted truth, that means, right? If I didn't want it enough to be able to say that जब जाएगा अभी तो है ना? But we get scared, we get drawn, we get sidetracked, we get distracted, and to a very, very, very different zones than where we would ideally want us to be for the conventions and to play it safe. So thank you for sharing, Nandan. Lot of food for thought. Yeah. So Deepa and Jasmine, hi, welcome. And before Jasmine disappears, Jasmine, you have anything to say on this topic? If you know the topic, that's an important question. Let me put it down.
No. I appreciate what you do, Taru. It's just, yeah, it's on choice,
Yeah.
It's like what sorry, I just wanted to listen
I've
actually.
done the screen sharing. It's what
But
am I
I'm
choosing? Yeah.
I'm really curious about the Narad part. I'm sorry, I was wait. At first, again, I saw 9 o'clock, then I saw 10 a.m. If you quickly want to just tell me the Narad part, I like stories.
Yeah.
I'm
Nandini, would you like to share that? Nandini shared a very beautiful experience of hers, and we're just extrapolating on that.
oh, okay.
It was just on one of my friends asked me. She also reads Savitri, and now we were reading together, and she suddenly asked me, and she said, "Okay, tell me, what is it in Savitri, Sri Aurobindo's Savitri? What is it that you like the most?" You know, and I just said, I think Savitri's courage of making a choice and living by it all the way through. That she makes a choice which is so radical and which is so unconventional. And yet there is not even a shudder of doubt, not even for a second. She thinks through it, that we, oh, let me think through it. And there's a very nice, in fact, like when even she's facing her father, the story is that once she marries Satyavan, they meet in the forest, and Satyavan's father is blind, twisted woman, and then finally they marry. She doesn't tell anybody. She decides that he's the one I'm going to marry, and they just marry. And he's from a different caste, if I can say it. And then they come to the to the palace, and everybody's happy. Of course, family is really happy. Mother is very happy, and then Narad, who is the mischievous god, as we know, he comes, and the mother asks that, would you bless the couple, and what do you think about it? And he says Satyavan is a great gem. He's amazing, and I'm really happy, but there is just one thing that I'm really afraid. And she says, what? That he's only gonna live one more year, and his death is final. He's gonna die. And that one thing makes the whole palace and everything just go in so much darkness and all, and everybody and people who were so happy. Shudbo says, like, I don't remember the line, but they say that all the joys that were created have now created such a big doom in this thing. And mother says to Savitri that we respect your choice, but please find somebody else, because we can't see this happening to our daughter. And Savitri is just standing still, and then there's a place when this goes to Savitri's father. She's facing him, and of course we know the kind of Ashwapati, how much tapasya he has done himself. And there is one thing that she says, as I remember, that father, I have chosen, and this is done. So this is said. Sri Aurobindo says that this line that really touches, that I have chosen him, and this is done. So there is no further, and there's a sort of conviction. She's very young as well to say to the father. So I
Beautiful.
was saying that to this, that that really inspires me, because I also sometimes have taken really unconventional decisions, but there's not so much certitude in the being, because every time I keep questioning them. Was it right?
Yeah.
Did I do okay? Is this going to be okay, this decision? And I just think, okay, no, I have to be Savitri and believe in them.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh,
so that's
thank you. Thank you for repeating that, Nandini. And it's beautiful. I just sometimes love the synchronicities in the events. It's just like that's exactly what I needed to hear. So thank you. So Taru, I really don't have anything to say, but I'll just be listening, I think.
Yeah, thank you,
But like I
Jasmine.
said, it's funny how things happen, even like today showing up and listening to this story is just, it really resonated. Sometimes, you literally, it also brings that trust. And I know it sounds pretty cliche in the universe or the process that it comes to you. Thank you, Nandini, again for the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll try to stay as much as I can.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so we were just, extrapolating that how we have so many Narads in our life telling us that the truth won't take us that far, right? That with the choices, with our everything, that we must play safe, we must play intelligent, we must play conventional, and that's how we lose our home. That's how we lose our truth, because we don't value it that much, and we are scared, and yeah, just that. So that was what we were.
Yeah, I think what just came to me was, I think something that's been, it's like how she said, like the choice she made at that moment, it's done, right? So the choice we made, it's like being present in that presence. We make that choice, but somehow we take it to the future. It's almost like we look long term, as if short. We kind of lose that sense of presence. Like if in that moment she made that choice, and just saying, even for us, I feel if I make a choice in the present moment, somehow we take it to the future, as if at this moment it feels right, at this moment it feels us, but somehow our mind has that tendency, whether it's out of fear or that thing of always questioning whether it's right or wrong. In that realm we go for the future, or it's almost like as if that situation which feels right now will stay right in the future. it's almost like we want it to be everlasting, but the nature of things in itself is like impermanent, right? So it's right now, for now. And it's like a flow. It could go either way. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. I don't know if I'm making sense, but just saying underneath it, that's what I somehow feel.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, what's coming out for me these days a lot is like coming back to present, like how present I am in the moment, and how much of me, whether it's physically, mentally, or spiritually, like it drift off from that, and trying to hold on to things in that sense, like even that decision, I'm trying to control how it would look in future, and that's what shakes us in that moment from, or makes us indecisive or doubt that decision. So in the background, or knowing that life is kind of the impermanent nature of things and life, and then there is no right and wrong, absolute right and wrong in that sense. Sorry, that is thinking. Thanks.
Yeah. On what you were saying, I think this would resonate. I had seen it today, and very bright. Would anybody like to read this? It's from the incarnate word. I think it's from the mother. Just this highlighted, but it was a very long one.
I'll read.
Yeah.
You must be in a perpetual state of choice at every moment, every minute of your life. You must make a choice between what drags you down and what drags you up, between what makes you progress and what makes you go backwards. But I do not call this having preferences. I call this making a choice, choosing. At every moment, one has to choose. This is indispensable and infinitely more so than choosing once for all between cleanliness and dirt, whether moral or physical. The choice, at every second, the choice is before you, and you may take a step downward or a step upward, take a step backward or a step forward. And this state of choice must be constant, perpetual. You must never fall asleep.
So the question was about preferences and choices. So just, if we even read the next line, the choice means a
Yeah.
decision and an action. Preference is a desire.
Fire.
Yeah, so mostly where we are stuck is preferences, right?
Preference.
Likes, dislikes. The mother is saying that is just a desire. What is important is choosing, right? Irrespective of the result. This is one thing that she really highlighted it in this article, that a choice is made without care for the consequences, without expecting any result. So what Nandini, where she took us with the Satyavan and Savitri example, very beautifully highlights this, that whatever happen, let that happen when it will happen. But it's done. It's done. Okay, I resonated. Now I've chosen this, and this is where I will be. This is the path I'll walk on. But just like you were saying, we torment ourselves. We choose. First, we take a lot of time in choosing, right? In making a decision. Lot of tormenting, reasoning, using all the tools possible, lists, whatnot. And then if somebody is intelligent, truly wise, he would say, okay, I've decided this and now this is my path. But how we do it is how Jasmine was saying, that I take the first step and I say, oh my God, is this okay? Was it a right decision? Do I want to be here? I take a second step. And again, okay, this feels okay. This feels weird. Do I want to be here? So this is, I think, the issue that while I'm standing and wondering at every step that is this right? Is this giving me what I want? Is this where I want to be? What is happening? I'm not walking ahead, right? This is a state of basically passivity, right? Like That's why sometimes for a lot of us, it feels that nothing moves, right? We seem to be doing a lot and yet nothing is moving because a lot of the movement is happening here. Dynamism is not there, right? It's just ऐसे लग तो बहुत रहा है कि बहुत कुछ कर रहे हैं, बहुत कुछ सोच रहे हैं, but कहीं आगे नहीं बढ़ रहे. So when mother says, forward, always forward, I think in that thing, this habit has to go away that, okay, chosen, next, now, okay, I walk. So I don't know, in somewhere in our want to be very playing safe and intelligent, we're actually really stopping ourselves from living the life we can live, and yeah, just sitting on our whatever, and yeah, okay. Just screen sharing this again, inviting more reflections, and I think this is pretty self-explanatory.
Do you mind sharing like just beneath that?
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up choice and preference, like really understanding that. Do you mind sharing the screenshot? I find it.
Do you
Mm.
not see it? Are you seeing the screen sharing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing
Okay.
it. Because I think this recently hit me, like how we live, specifically the word preference. And, um, there's a difference between choice and preference. And the
Mm.
preference, like it's a desire. And I feel like, and where that preferences comes from, I don't know what this paragraph is. Yeah, it says it's attached to the results, but I also like what came to me was where do these preferences really come from? What makes that moment so heavy or confusing for us is because of all the conditioning, the preferences that we have set up in our mind. There's images of right, wrong, or likes, dislikes. So if I leave all those desires on the side, those likes, disliking, those impressions, or those way I've been or my mind is conditioned, then in that moment, with that freshness, with that newness, I can make that choice. And I love what mother said, you have to make that choice every moment. But I think being aware of the fact where the preference comes from is not just about what the result will be. That that kind of thinking about the result or that fear of the result comes from in the background from our past memories and impressions. Because what's the problem? There is going to be a result, there is going to be a consequence. So my thinking about whether I'm going to be scared of it or it's right, wrong is from my past impression. So I think being aware of that part, it kind of releases something. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, So
Yeah.
let me paraphrase it better. Like I said, I'm just reflecting on this out loud. But what I mean is that preference that with the result we're scared of is a result of our past impressions or our past memories, liking,
I think,
disliking,
Jasmine, it's
conditions.
everything, right? Like conditionings,
Yeah,
fears, and plus we have our images. We really want not to be hurt, right? We want to
yeah,
be comfortable. We have, whenever, it's like we always have some greed in places where we are selling
yeah,
ourselves because we feel that, okay, this is what I'm getting. But I don't see how I'm selling myself, what all I'm doing to get those looks of
yeah,
respect or acceptances or, approvals. Because
yeah.
so I think everything that I have
Thing is,
ever touched
yeah,
would dictate my preference. And I think more
yeah,
than anything, I would say the topmost would be it should be pleasurable. It should not cause me
yeah,
pain, right? So
pain,
any
yeah,
change, even if I feel, okay, I've been constricted and I need to break free. So I'm wanting to break free, and yet I'm saying that, oh my God, at least I know this constriction. Let me be here, right? This is how we live,
yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah,
we
yeah,
know that now. So again, this comfort, how, we say this often, that Khalil Gibran says that the lust for comfort kills the passion of the soul, right? So this is what we do.
Yeah.
कि लाइफ कैसी थी जी, बड़ी कंफर्टेबल थी हर चीज, राइट? लाइक इफ वी टेक अ फ्लाइट, everybody like, was it comfortable? You know what it like, comfort has been made such a huge thing in our lives. And earlier on, if we see, कंफर्ट इतना वो मैटर नहीं करता था, है ना? कहीं पे भी सो रहे हैं, एंड मतलब बेसिक ग्राउंडेड लाइफ ऑन द ग्राउंड, मोर नेचुरल, रियल, ये बहुत हाइप हो गया है हमारा कंफर्ट, एंड दैट्स व्हाट वी आर गिविंग टू आवर किड्स आल्सो. सो या, एवरीथिंग. Yeah, so
Yeah, can we read the paragraph?
actually, you know, I just like bits and pieces. I was doing something else. We can, but it's not continuation. I can share the whole thing, but yeah, sure, we can read it. So anybody can read it out loud.
Okay, I'll carry on.
Thank you.
Choice means a decision and an action. Preference is a desire. A choice is made and ought to be made. And if it is truly a choice, it is made without care for the consequences, without expecting any result. You choose according to your inner truth, your highest consciousness. Whatever happens does not touch you. You have made your choice, the true choice, and what comes about is not your concern. While, on the contrary, if you have preferences, you will choose through preference in one way or another. Your preference will distort your choice. It will be calculation, bargaining. You will act with the idea that a particular thing must happen because this is what you prefer, and not because that is the truth, the right thing to do. Preference is attached to the result, acts with a view to the result, wishes things to be in a particular way, and acts to bring about its wish, and so this opens the door to all kind of things. Choice is independent of the result, and certainly at every minute you can choose. You're faced with the necessity of choosing at every second, and you do not choose really well in all sincerity unless it is the truth of the choice which interests you and not the result of your choice. If you choose with the result in view, that falsifies your choice.
I have a question in this. The second last line, it says that in all sincerity, yes, and you do not choose really well in all sincerity unless it is the truth of your choice. Yeah, this phrase, unless it is the truth of the choice which interests you and not the result of your choice. So yeah, I mean, not the result of your choice, I kind of understand, but this phrase, unless it is the truth of the choice which interests you,
Yeah.
how does one really like get in touch with the truth of the choice? Any
There was this when I was in fact reading it, what came to my mind was in Gita only. I think it's chapter 9 when we were reading. It's about Krishna. Arjuna is asking this question that Krishna, like, saying that that one has to choose with the highest consciousness, and he says, but how do I know that it is my highest? He asked this. And then I think exactly but it's something he says about the Swadharma. So very clearly talks about the Swadharma of your being, that you are a Kshatriya and your Swadharma is the Kshatriya, and you have made that choice. And when I was reading, that was really resonating with me, that we cannot choose if we do not have our Swadharma. Or in Japanese as well, there's something Ikigai is very going around. Ikigai, what is your Ikigai? So first of all, we have to really find that. And that's what also Krishna is telling, that you have made a choice to be a Kshatriya, true Kshatriya, who will uphold the truth. So now your choice is to, if even if it has to kill your brothers or this thing, you have to do it because you are doing it for the highest, which is being a true Kshatriya. Nothing else matters. Everything else is a preference. That, I will be called a coward in chapter 2, 3. He's lamenting, saying, I will be a coward, I will be a kul nashini and all of that. But that's all preference. But the truth of you being a Kshatriya. So even for my example, I always like think that what is my ikigai, what is my swadharma that I'm born for. And till the time we don't have that, it might take this entire lifetime even to find it, might a year or something. I cannot make right choices because like even a Taru, I think, was telling something that, like once we know where we have to go, so even if you have to take 10,000 steps, we know, okay, I'm taking a second step or third step to what? So that what has to be clear. I think that came to me when I was reading, in fact, those lines, and you raised it up. So yeah, and of course other reflections.
Thank you, Nandini, for this beautiful insight.
No, there's a line in Savitri, I mean, two lines, and I would not be saying them right, but it's like, not by reason was the world created, not by reason can the soul be realized. So right now, the choice that I'm talking about, that I'm reading, not talking about, but what Mother is saying, is not the choice of reason. But what you are asking is that how do I know is using reason, right? We know, we know, we know, we know. Something in us knows the right from wrong, big from small, expansion from constriction, adjustment from flying. We know that. We don't need to know a reason for that. The reason limits us, the reason constricts us, the reason defines us. But what is being said is, nobody will have to tell you. And if you say you don't know, you will be lying. Or you might have lost, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying we. If we say I don't really know, then that means either I'm lying, which is most likely the case, or I've absolutely lost in touch with my true essence, with the truth in me, because it's not possible that I don't know what is right here, what is true here. It would be, buried under things, and it might not be easy, and it might go contradictory to the societal norms or my morals and obligations and titles and responsibility. But you know the right from the wrong. There's no doubt in that. Yeah. So, Deepa, do you have the capacity to talk? You were very silent today. Doesn't seem like you at all hidden and silent.
I think this is so close to heart that sometimes you don't want to bare your heart, right?
Yeah.
And you are yourself in such a contemplating mode about which way your life should go, it becomes very difficult to talk. So I guess I'm somewhere over there. But I can talk about something which is not pertaining to me until I'm a little more brave to talk about myself. I mean, when Nandini spoke about Swadharma, and I was just thinking, I had heard this story about when Bill Gates and Melinda Gates were dating each other. And she went to meet him one of the days, and she saw on a whiteboard he had made two lists on why he should marry her and why he shouldn't marry her. And when I looked at it, I just felt like, oh my God, like this is so sorry that even for this you need lists. To, even in that situation, he couldn't listen to his heart. And I thought it was not just him. I was not feeling sorry for him, but sorry for all of us. Like, today when my son is making a career choice, he is looking at the salary listings of each career. And I keep telling him, do what your heart resonates with, do where you think your real calling is. And he says, oh, I like this, but they're not getting enough salaries. Um, and I don't blame him. When I was at that age, I myself found myself um, looking at, what are the career prospects. And I think for the longest time, I think in that generation that we were, money and the promotion and those aspects were given so much importance that certain blindly people would say, okay, now computer engineering is in, so we all get into it. So we lost the essence of what we really should be listening to, looking forward to. And these choices and this kind of ingrainment of our personality towards such a direction has brought us today to this point, and myself to this point, that sometimes when I look back, uh, it is like when you lose a year of your educational life, you're so worried and concerned. While I feel, have we lost so many years doing things that did not really resonate? Like, there are so many things that I would like to do, but I feel like I'm stuck in a place so distant. Um, and sometimes the only thing that is barring me is courage, or maybe it is that swadharma, the freedom to make a choice. And I think I remember what Monica said, that it becomes difficult to breathe um, when you're going contrary to, what your heart says. And to make that choice for me, it's the biggest thing, to have that courage to listen to the calling and do it. So I can't go further than that because, I'm still um, at that crossroads. So it's difficult to talk. Yeah.
If one wants to be a gymnast and you've seen it in some, circus to slay, that how the gymnasts, they go all, from one bar to the other and totally upside down and stuff. And you say, yes, this is who I want to be. And yet, while you're preparing to be a gymnast, you would be doing exercises, you would be made to do fitness things, you would be made to increase your flexibility. So you can mistakenly say that, but this is not what a gymnast does, right? But these are things that we are doing so that we can be the gymnast that we want to be. So you might right now be saying that I am unable to make that choice. But whatever you are doing, whatever you are thinking, whatever you are being aware of, this great, if you say that you can't breathe, and I'm not saying you're saying that, but that statement that you used, that you would not be able to breathe if you're not making the true choice, only a Buddha would not be able to breathe. Only somebody who's conscious would say that nahi, is yahan to mujhe saans nahi aa rahi hai. Otherwise, so we are breathing very well, right? So don't feel that it's just you are here and now you are a gymnast, right? There's so much that we are doing, that we are opening ourselves to, that this awareness is such a big grace that, okay, this I'm not liking, I'm not liking, I'm not liking, I'm not liking. 30,000 times I'm not liking, and maybe 31,000 time I'll say enough. So that doesn't mean those 30,000 did not amount to anything. They got me to the 30,001 when I said enough. So having that certitude that everything is good, going towards where I need to be. And I guess that's good. Yeah. Now the second last line Chetna was saying, but the last line also was something that just hit me, that didn't hit me when I read it for the first time. although it's saying the same thing. Yet, if you choose with the result in view, that falsifies your choice. And I just realized that that's all we do, right? Whenever there's a choice in front of me, what is the first thing and the main thing, and maybe the only thing that comes to me 99% of the time is what would be the result of my choice? And here it is being said that if you choose with the result in view, that would falsify my choice, because then it will be conditioned, right? What Jasmine was saying. Then it will be the fear who will be choosing, it will be the greed that will be choosing, the safeguard that will be choosing, who wants to be safe. But when you know, again, that Satyavan example, she knew कि मुझे तो सत्यवान ही चाहिए, choosing the truth over everything else. It's pretty amazing that how far we have come from where we need to be. Yeah, that. So if you choose with the result, it's so contradictory to how we live or what we think is intelligent. So when we keep the result in mind, that falsifies our choice. But when we know I have to do this, you have to just, yeah, very interesting. Yeah, anything on this before we move forward? I wasn't, yeah, but it was beautiful, yeah.
I just want to say something very lightly though. But I really feel like us being the humanly part, that's where it gets challenging. But we focus too much on the right choice or the wrong choice. We make it so heavy. So, so I think in daily living, just letting yourself be free of that part, just making it too heavy, intellectualizing it sometimes a bit too much. I think that being aware of that part really helps. Really, because I think even in spirituality, in that sense, we know things are there's no right and wrong, but yes, in but daily life, it does have an impact, and we get too caught up in that. And I think sometimes just keeping that light, it helps you uncover that knowing too, because that knowing that you're talking about, that it's true, we know. It's almost it gets covered by all that um, thoughts or whatever you want to put it. So I think just bringing that lightness and just even sometimes saying there is no right and wrong, it brings that ease, and then in that ease, it calms down that noise, and then you can listen. It really stay in touch with that knowing. Just practically, I find it easy.
And just not dramatizing, but still dramatizing, that when you reach that calm and you're making that choice, somebody comes along and says, "Dimag kharab ho gaya hai kya? Ki kya bol rahe ho?" And that kind of makes me again restart the thinking process and say, "Kya kya kar rahe hai?" and stuff. So that's also hilarious, but stories of our lives that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true. But I think then again, it comes down to practice, right? And I
Yeah.
think there have been moments where personally, it's like easy choice I had a hard time with, and there was a hard choice, but I was able to make it easily just because of the state or the like how I think in that writing that you shared, what place is that choice made from, right?
Mhm.
And so again, I like I said, I take it lightly. अभी ये session के बाद करके पता चल रहा है कि I can't do this thing, and that's okay too. So that's what I meant, like not hold it. I think we need to have that lightness. It makes it a bit easier to practice, and it's almost like cultivating it. I think the humanly part, dealing with the humanly daily practical part of it.
One thing that has really helped me in making some of the choices when mind did not really like neither my heart nor my mind came with an answer was, really putting your trust in a book, like, in, of course, in a work, divine work. It could be Gita, it could be anything that you resonate with. Like, for example, for me, it would be Savitri or Mother's prayers and meditation. It's like, I just randomly open it and whatever comes and whatever I resonate with. So it's no mind, or even because sometimes I can't even calm my mind because the monkey mind is so bad, especially if it's a big choice. So you just like open it and you just go with it. I remember when my mother, when she was, they told that, because they're gonna put ventilator, and we just went for a normal checkup. She felt uneasy. She was okay, first chemo gone, and like it's a ventilator, and my whole body, like as if, the nervous system kicked so bad that I was completely like not able to ground myself. So nothing was helping. I was chanting, I was meditating. It wasn't helping at that time because it was so big, as if not like world is falling apart. And I just opened Savitri randomly. I opened it, and it was just, it was the book of death that actually opened. And the book of death opened, and it was just, there was this thing where it describing that Satyavan actually is going to die, but it was description that death is nothing, that you will not die. Even if you die, when the body goes, exactly now I don't remember what, but this is what and I just knew that this is going to happen. So I knew she's going to go away now. And of course they said, oh, we're going to do this, doctor said we still have hope, everything is okay, and all of that. I somehow knew it. And, I think that helped me so much, because all my cousins, everybody, like when she went really bad, like, her blood pressure dropped and all. And they were like, oh, go to this doctor, go to that doctor and ask what is happening. And I just knew, like as a part, knew that, this is the moment that I cannot miss. I cannot really go into that mind riddles. And I just sat beside her and chanted for 4 hours straight, just beside her, and just be with her. It was so beautiful, see her transition. And I think, and many moments, I remember this was this thing, should I stay in India or should I stay in Ireland? For a long time I was struggling with it, spoke to many people. The choice was never like, even though I thought, okay, now I'm going to choose this, but there was no conviction. And then I was so stressed, I just sat down in front of Mother, and I said, Mother, please, can you help me? And I just opened prayers and meditation, and the prayer came about, about how does it matter. It actually came where you live, to the Lord, that do I live at the periphery or at the center? If my whole being is, consecrated to your service. And that's it. I didn't have to silence the mind, I didn't have to do anything, and I just got my answer that how does it matter if I have to live here right now? If I have to go back, or if I have to live here, just my focus should be on living a life which is, surrendered to her. So, like these things, like for me, it has, like I always do it. I just open it and I just know that what comes up is it, and I just go with it, and it turns out to be beautiful. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nandini. Deepa, did you want to add anything on to this?
No, not really. Though there was this doubt, I think Chetna had asked, right? When it was about Arjun, when he was at the battlefield, for example, how do we know? She asked that, what is that real self, Swadharma? So I was just thinking, like, at the battlefield, he's thinking that he shouldn't lift the arms against his relatives and uncles and cousins and that seems like as though his heart is saying, right? And then there is Krishna who's saying that his dharma is to fight as a Kshatriya against the evil. But so when we are faced with these kind of questions of what is it that we really want to do, and we say, listen to your heart, then Arjun, probably his heart was saying not to lift the arms. So he had Krishna to guide him. And definitely is, right? Because there's so many voices in your mind. Like, for example, Nandini says it didn't matter whether she lives in Ireland or in India. And for the longest time, I have this question whether I should be in Canada or in India, whether I should be, taking care of my parents, or I should be here and, with my children, and children are grown up. Anyways, um, so we have this quandaries and we don't know what. So is my duty to look after the kids, or is my duty to look after my parents, or it doesn't matter? Like Jasmine says, just take it lightly and take it day by day. So there are so many voices and choices, right? And nothing seems, I mean, if I listen to Jasmine, that seems right. If I listen to Nandini, that seems right. um so what I'm trying to get is not an answer to this question, but just trying to find out what is it that we listen to. Like what Chetna asked is my question. What is it? What is the true calling?
Yeah. So no, it's said that we are all Arjuns, right? Like especially when we are right now, when we are so-called seekers, when we are trying to look beyond the everyday grind and the mom and the daughter and the wife and the whatever not. So I think stuck in these duties of these titles, we just keep getting constructed. But the thing is, we are all Arjuns and Krishna is in our hearts. But it's, how we were discussing that we have come so far. We are so scared. We are so wanting to comply. We are so greedy with what we are getting. The titles, the homes, what they are giving us, the comfort that we are getting. It's like we are selling our souls for, a beautiful view and a cup of tea in a beautiful garden because it feels nice. But we know what is the right choice. And this morning and for some yesterday evening, when in the session, Sri Aurobindo and Mother's session, study circle, when we are seeing the book, when we are reading the book, Looking from Within. So both these prayers, I think, would answer your question, Deepa. This is the prayer I think you were present when we did it. We did it 2 weeks back in prayers and meditation. Then we did it last week in the Harmony Circle. I don't know if you were there. And today again, it's very strange how the same prayer came. And if you want to unmute and read it, I don't know if you have your glasses. I can read it, but yeah, we can read both of these. They were beautiful and they would help us in, I think, this choice factor. Yeah.
So where should I start reading from?
This morning.
Okay. This morning, as I was glancing over the month that is beginning and wondering how I could serve thee better, I heard the small voice within, like a murmur in the silence. And this is what it said to me. See how very little all outer circumstances matter? Why strive and strain so to realize thy own conception of truth? Be more supple, more trusting. The only duty is not to let oneself be troubled by anything. To torment oneself about doing the right thing causes as much harm as a bad will. Only in a calm as of deep waters can be found the possibility of true service. And this reply was so luminous and pure, it carried within itself such a striking reality that the state it described was communicated without any difficulty. It seemed to me I was floating in the calm of deep waters. I understood, I saw clearly what the best attitude would be. And now I have only to ask thee, O sublime Master, my supreme teacher, to give me the strength and clear sightedness I need to remain constantly in this state. Do not torment thyself, child. Silence, peace, peace, the mother. Yeah, makes so much sense.
So when we look at this, for me, it felt I'm asking the wrong question, right? And the last thing that we read, that if I am looking at the result and making a decision, I can be sure the result, the choice would be falsified, because my question is usually, where will I be better off? Right? Where will I be happier? Where will I be more comfortable? What makes more sense for me? And what is the right question? What is mother wondering? And when mother is wondering, these prayers are for us, these meditations are for us, that this morning I was wondering how I could serve thee better. When have I wondered that how can I serve thee better? So because I'm asking the wrong questions, I'm getting more sidetracked and all. And then what is she realizing? How little outer circumstances matter. Like what Nandini said, we have all, I feel this is like a cross that anybody living outside India bears. I don't know, heard it. मतलब मेरे को तो मजाक बन गया है कि from the time I went for my MBA 15 years back, कि बस देश जाना है, बस देश जाना है, and तो जाओ ना, रोक कौन रहा है? But जाना भी नहीं है, we know, because we have our, things that we are getting there. So when you are saying, that do I be a daughter and be with my parent? Do I be a mother, be with my child? And what is the question here? How do I serve thee better? How can you serve thee better when you're taking care of yourself, when you're doing what is your calling? So not mother, not daughter, but just that person that you are. What does that person resonate with? Because see, what are we doing here? This thing I found was very beautiful, that why strive and strain so to realize thy own conception of truth. There's a part of me which says mother, mother, mother. There's a part of me which says daughter. So again, I'm just creating my own conflicts, and as a result, I'm not doing anything beautifully. When I'm mopping the floor, I'm thinking of, okay, but I have to, make whatever. When I'm making that, I'm thinking, but I have to do this. Or this is right. Is this right? Is this right? So it's, I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Vivekananda who said that it's not like one should not be judged by the nature of what one is doing, but how one is doing what one is doing. So abhi yahan hu, if I'm with the kids, I'm with the kids fully, delighted to be here. And if I want to experiment, okay, how would that feel when life gives me an opportunity, when I can do, I go there and be there fully. And then, after that experiment, I can just choose, okay, here, there, or maybe both, 6 months here, 6 months there. Who's stopping me? Not, if not myself. So again, a lot of our conflicts are self-created. I want to say all, but I'm just being polite. So why strive and strain so to realize? Because just knowing that neither would matter. And I know that, when I'll go there, I'll be wondering, mere bacche kaise hain? When I'm here, I'm wondering, wo kaise? That's a nature, how Jet Sunmala says that this is samsara. तो फिर वो तो हर जगह पे है ही. But where do I go from there, right? How do I transcend this? That, okay, where I am, I'm being there fully. I'm not losing my center, and I can be more than what I have been, no matter what people say, nahi, that doesn't make sense. It makes sense to me. Marrying Satyavan for Savitri, it did not make sense for anybody in that thing. Why would anybody marry somebody who's supposed to die in a year? No sense. And yet Savitri came out of it. So just for those who resonate with Savitri, but yeah. So be more supple. What is suppleness, right? That I'm willing to change, right? I'm not rigid. So when I'm saying, can I be here? Should I be there? There's a rigidity, right? That says that I can just be at one place, but I don't have to be. More trusting. So there's a feeling in me which says that, okay, if I don't do this, something is going to be wrong. And what is mother saying? Be trust कि okay, अभी यहाँ हूँ तो ये मेरे लिए ठीक जगह है. और अगर यहाँ पे feel नहीं ठीक हो रहा है, let me go and experiment there. How does I feel there, right? And then it's like, what we discussed, that once I've decided this, if I'm again at every step thinking, then I'm just harassing myself, है ना? So that kind of, then I'm not living. And the only duty is not to let oneself be troubled by anything. The only duty, you use the word duty, right? So the only duty, if we want to believe this, and we don't have to, most of us won't, but the only duty is not to let oneself be troubled by anything. That's what a mother is asking a child, कि बच्चे तू चिंता मत कर बस, जी ले. बट हम कहाँ सुनते हैं, हमें लगता है नहीं नहीं, उनको क्या पता, जिंदगी तो मेरी है. So the only duty is not to let oneself be troubled by anything. If something is coming to me, I can try and do it and see if I like it. Stakes are not that high. Giving ourselves shorter durations. Like I'll go, maybe I'll see 15 days, 1 month. I don't have to declare कि अरे मैं तो experiment पे जा रही हूँ, वहीं रह गई तो वहीं रह गई. It's, we just, the essence is lost in the drama of my things. So either I can do the dramas or I can live big, or live the life that I want to. Keeping it light, keeping the options open, what I feel right, I just, float towards that. And just finishing this, yes, Deepa, please.
Yeah, one thing kind of pops into my mind is we were living in this apartment complex and we were making some demands on the watchman. And he was from Kerala and he just made shorter dialogue where he told us, Hati bhi chahiye aur bazaar bhi jana hai. So, like we were making so many demands. And what I kind of come back from this discussion is I want everything in life. So, this thing where this self-created conflict that comes is from the fact that you want everything in life and that really doesn't happen. So I need to focus on what I take every day as it comes, and then until more clarity comes, the direction will come through. So, you want to be with your kids, you want to be with your parents, you want to be in Canada, you want a job, you want to be in India as well. So, it is just too many things that you want from
So
life
यहाँ
just
पे ना,
because
there's
life is
one
different.
thing, I am sorry I'm interrupting you, but see where it started. It says, see how little outer circumstances matter, right? When you're saying you want everything, it's again at a very superficial level of outside. But if one knows that I already have everything, and now let me see where I want to be, right? ऐसा लगता है वहां से कुछ मिलेगा या यहाँ से कुछ मिलेगा, बट कहीं से कुछ मिलेगा है ही नहीं, बिकॉज जो है वो अंदर है, वो अभी मेरे पास है ही. So if I'm seeking it outside, thinking here and there, I will never get it. There's nothing to get. Again, it sounds like one is playing with words and yet one is not. So yes, you can have everything. You already have everything. And these things are just add-ons, कि अच्छा ये करना है वो कर लो. I remember, exactly what Nandini was sharing. I was once in a very, again, US में रहना है, India में रहना है वाला जो हमारा वो होता है basket of load. I had the grace of meeting Sri Ravi Shankar 1-to-1. That was also a miracle in itself. But I asked him, कि सब लोग बोल रहे हैं वहीं पे रहो, इतना अच्छा जॉब है ये सब, बट मुझे तो इंडिया आना है. तो I mean, first I said सब लोग बोल रहे हैं यूएस में रहो, तो he said हाँ हाँ रहो. And then I was like, but मुझे तो इंडिया आना. तो उन्होंने कहा हाँ हाँ आओ. तो फिर I said कि कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, because for me it was such a big thing at that time, right? Like you were saying, it feels really big. And he just looked at me and smiled. He said, नहीं कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So I was like, okay, फिर मैं आ जाती हूँ. उनका हाँ आ जाओ. तो मतलब, and it's not that he didn't care, right? Like he was there, he was trying to guide, he was giving an answer, but honestly फर्क नहीं पड़ता. कि नहीं
Yeah,
पड़ता,
it's about the
नहीं
outer
पड़ता. Yeah.
circumstances, right? Yeah. And that's the truth.
But I
Because
don't want the truth, right? I want mostly glitters
yeah.
and dramas and my fancies. So this is the catch. कि अगर सच चाहिए तो वो तो है, मिला हुआ है. बट बिकॉज मुझे सच यूजुअली नहीं चाहिए, मुझे लगता है कि अरे सच की डेफिनेशंस आई एम ट्राइंग टू डिफाइन, वो वहां पे then I get caught and then the circle or loop starts and I go up and down with the waves. And this brings us beautifully to the next prayer about, waves and storms, but I let you talk and stop dramatizing.
No, it's very true because when I go to my parents, then within a week I'm bored over there and I find my mom so domineering and everything. I mean, as simple as that, right? If I have to live with her for a month, I go crazy. If I have to live like with my kids, I go crazy. Typical teenagers. So, I mean, these are outer circumstances, and that's so clear that you have to look inwards now to realize where lies your true potential. Yeah.
And also, when you said, right, when you were saying that, how do we know what our heart wants? And like for Arjuna, his heart wanted not to kill, and that was his heart wanted, and it makes sense. But also, this fact that, like, something I have realized from my personal experience, that when truth manifests in your being, like, something, a glimpse of truth comes in a moment here and there, it brings a lot of peace. There is no restlessness. So like, and it really changed my perspective of many things. I still remember there was this argument I had with my partner, something he said very hurt me a lot, like I was tormented with this, and for many days I was tormented because I'm a very sentimental person. And I remember I asked mother, I said, Mother, why is it like that? It really hurt me. And this and da da da. And there was, I remember something came that my aspiration is, like she reminded me of something I said to her once, that, and you just say it, you don't mean it. I said, okay, I'm starting this new relationship and I want to purify my love. So that was the big ideal I set for myself. That, I really would like to, learn what love is through this, because intimate relationship is the hardest to learn love. Everywhere else you can do. And I still remember when I sat down and it just, it was so, and nothing else was needed. As if she's telling me that this is what I have to do. Like, that sense, that divinity in everything is the true purpose I've set for. So, and it brought a lot of peace. So I think that's something I have realized, that whenever I will have a glimpse of truth, when I will know what's right for me, it will also bring a sort of peace. There's no restlessness, because usually otherwise it makes me a lot of restless. I'll call many people, I'll do this, I'll do that. So that is not, and that is why, Arjuna needs Krishna, because he's very restless. He's not sure he should do it, because there's a lot of agony, discomfort, and when he does it, if you read Gita, initially he's, addressing Krishna as a friend, his adjectives that he'll use. But towards the end, especially after he sees the Virat Roop, so 9th chapter onwards, he'll say that Purushottam, he'll use that words. And he'll say, okay, tell me more. And then Krishna tells him more about things, and Bhakti Yoga comes. So after Janana Yoga, you actually see a progression of the peace that comes. And after that, whatever he's doing, it feels like the Leela. Okay, I'm just calmful, even if I'm killing somebody. Like, Sri Aurobindo says, slaying with the love. The divine slays, even when she slays, he slays with the love. So I think that's something I've realized as well, that true calling brings a lot of peace and not restlessness. So, yeah.
Yeah, and just think that a lot of times we feel that if anything is bringing restlessness or any movement in me compared to maybe doing nothing, we feel that's all right. But a lot of time change brings restlessness, it brings fear, but that is something that has to be transcended. So although peace is the defining factor, and yet a lot of times the peace that we choose is transitory peace. So make sure when we are choosing the real peace, the peace that would stay and would not depend on person, people, thing, location. I am peace, and wherever I go, peace will be. I will not go to Kailash for peace or, anywhere else. I take it with me wherever I go. For sure. Matlab, there is no if and but about it. I think. So since we are here and we are almost at the end of the thing, so why don't we just take the second one? And again, this I felt the first time I read it, and second and third and fourth, that do not torment thyself, child. I felt was a mantra that one must, write on their forehead if one needs to, or wherever one can see. Okay, so this is the second prayer that we took today. Again, very beautiful, same lines on circumstances. So if anybody wants to read, they can please read. And
I'll read it.
Yeah.
From where? O Lord?
Yeah.
Okay. O Lord, my one aspiration is to know Thee and serve Thee better every day. What do outer circumstances matter? They seem to me each day more vain and illusory, and I take less and less interest in what is going to happen to us in the outer life. But more and more am I intensely interested in the one thing which seems important to me: to know Thee better in order to serve Thee better. All outer events must converge upon this goal, and this goal alone, and for that all depends upon the attitude we have towards them. To seek Thee constantly in all things, to want to manifest Thee ever better in every circumstance, in this attitude lies supreme peace, perfect serenity, true contentment. In it, life blossoms, widens, expands so magnificently in such majestic waves that no storm can any longer disturb it. O Lord, Thou art our safeguard, our only happiness. Thou art our resplendent light, our pure love, our hope, and our strength. Thou art our life, the reality of our being. In a reverent and joyful adoration, I bow to Thee, the Mother.
You're muted.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I'm not finding, the supreme peace or supreme perfect serenity, true contentment, because I'm looking for it in the wrong places. I feel the circumstances I'll have to create to achieve this, do that. And yet, what are we pointed towards? That these don't matter. My center of operation, what I want, whether I'm always still also right now, it's just what will I get, or has the conversion happened that what can I give, right? So all outer events must converge upon this goal and this goal alone. And what is the goal? To know Thee better, to serve Thee better. And for all depends upon the attitude we have towards them. So to seek, if people don't resonate with divine, we can see perfection, we can replace it with truth, right? To seek perfection constantly in all things, to want to manifest perfection ever better in every circumstance. In this attitude lies supreme peace, perfect serenity, true contentment. In it, life blossoms, widens. Most of the things constrict me. But when I'm doing the right thing, asking the right questions, not living for myself, but what I'm here to do if I'm pursuing, it widens, expands so magnificently in such majestic waves that no storm can any longer disturb it. So, when you were sharing, Deepa, so this was the line, when you were saying, ki yahan, idhar, how it seems to be overwhelming and it seems like a big choice. So, somehow I feel that And yeah, it is that, how we say how Maya operates, right? कि he knows कि अच्छा उसको ये दे देंगे तो वो उसमें busy हो जाएगा, उसको वो problem दे देंगे वो उसमें busy हो जाएगा. So I feel that for people who are outside, yeah, this is the problem that everyone is giving. कि here, 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 here. And when you come back, it's like as if you never left, for example. So this is something that we have to transcend. But here it is said that the wave that you would be is so mighty that a storm can't disturb it. So, when it's like simple, calm water, the superficial, even a gust of wind, right? It just stirs everything. A motorboat goes 10 kilometers away and ripples are created here. But when I am in my depths, when I am connected, so even a storm is a big thing, cannot disturb that wave that I would become if I'm operating from the right center, if I'm standing for the truth. And for truth, when we say truth, standing for the truth, Abhi, jaise we were talking about Arjun and Krishna, we don't have to dramatize things too much, right? For me, there would be different versions of truth. If I'm choosing truth over formalities, over relationships that constrict me, or anything for anybody, like so many pressures and choices that we have. But if I'm choosing what is right over what feels comfortable, I am standing with the truth. Simple, very, very, very simple. Because I am the Arjun on the battlefield and I have Krishna with me, that's for sure. So, when we began, you were a bit late. So I did share that, when I chose this topic, how funny to use the word that what am I choosing? It's like, who am I choosing to stand with? Am I choosing the big or am I choosing the small? It's not just everyday choices, but because they say what you choose, you become. So let me choose the highest that I can aspire for, because whoever I choose, I'll become that for sure. I don't know why I'm saying for sure again and again. Apologies for that. Yeah.
So when you look at this prayer, I find it very difficult to resonate with. So I think I still have not grasped it fully, the message. I'm sorry, I'm kind of prolonging this discussion further, but so it tells it doesn't matter your outer circumstances. Uh, and you just need to pray and surrender, and it talks about the divine. I find that so difficult to connect to. It's a personal block for me, like, because we are so focused on what I need to do next, right? So for me, this seems so passive, the surrender, which means that I don't have to think, I don't have to plan, I don't have to
Where are you seeing the word
decide.
surrender or passive? I didn't feel that. Could you tell me which line felt passive to you?
So I think serve thee better, to know thee
Yeah.
better, and
Serve, to know thee better, right? Know what all we do for knowledge. Where is the passivity? To serve, right? Where is the passivity in serving? So there is never any passivity in the path of spirituality. It's a myth that अच्छा बस आप बैठ गए हैं कैलाश की चोटी पे आंखें बंद करके. That's not what we are being told to do, right? Like
so
it's
this is not about just pray for me, just meditate on me, and just, so it's not saying that.
no, that's what I'm saying. Where did you feel that? If you're
Hmm.
looking at the word, see again, there's something in us which has an image that this is what it's saying. And yet, when
Hmm.
I'm looking at it closely, it's not what it's saying. Hai na? How
Right. Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So when it says, I bow to thee, so it doesn't mean that it's a passive event. You're saying it, you
Yeah.
could serve the Lord in so many different ways.
And when I say again, you're saying when it says bow to thee, is bow passive? How much effort does a prostration take? करके देखो आप अभी, है ना? मतलब lot of activities there, both mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. When I'm bowing, truly bowing, it's not passive, it's very active. So again, there
True.
are
Yeah.
images that I'm holding on to, which if I can start seeing, which I haven't seen yet, and it's fine, right? But now that I can see, if I want, I can choose to let that go. So how do I give? How do I give? How do I give? From how do I get? How do I get? How do I get? Because when I give is when I truly start getting. So again, very ironical and yet seems to be true.
Also, just on this, I mean, in a sense, you're right as well, Deepa, that like the highest sense of surrender is just bringing that, of I-hood from action, that, I can do this, or planning and all of that. I mean, you still do it in a bit, but for the complexity, like Alok, I was listening to Alok Dan, he was saying that, the most difficult situation that I have been, if you ask me, I have not really ever planned anything or tried to sort it out, something like that. I have just really just called ma, and even if it sometime I had to say it for 3 months, I just used to do that, and things got resolved on its own like that. And for me also it works. So in that sense, it's an active form of surrender, that way we feel like I cannot really do this, or there's nothing I can do in it. Of course we know, but we still keep trying. Okay, I'll do this. I'll this help book. Or for example, you're talking about children sometimes with teenagers as well. You try. The thing is, always try to change them and all. With my parents as well, I've seen them doing. Never ever help them at all, really. But when they let me free, when they didn't do anything, because I was grown up enough to know what I need to do. And maybe, they surrendered to the divine, just giving hypothetically. I don't know if they do. I think it would make more sense, just like Jack Confield as well. He's a Buddhist teacher, very Jack Confield. And he says that somebody said that, I'm really concerned about my teenage daughter. And, like this something is gone into very different routes and I don't know what to do. And he says, do you have an altar set up, something, an altar at your table or something like that, if you have? And she says, yeah, I do have like a photo of a Buddha, in this. He says, just go every day and offer her to him, or offer her to the Divine Mother as well. Just offer it and say that you please take care of her, and that's it. You don't have to do anything, and things change. So just when I was reading it, that just I have to remind thee. I mean, it's also a very powerful practice, as the Taru was saying.
And this chanting, say for 3 months, or this offering is an active process. So हमें लगता है कि अरे हाँ, जैसे हमने देखा है कि जो elderly women, they are chanting, it seems so passive, right? So it's not that. It's very active. Your being is present in that. So it might seem it's passive and it's not. Yeah. So, in the interest of time, Jasmine had also written something, and I think it's a Christmas miracle that Jasmine stayed throughout. I can't believe it. But Jasmine, we won't be taking up your comment right now because we want you to come next week too. And so we'll be ending the session here. We have moved beyond that time. So we'll be taking the same topic, lots and lots more to explore and reflect here. So, just thanking Grace for these ironical understandings and clarifications and light that we see. Aspiring and praying that may I actively become that mighty wave, that no storm can deshape, touch, or destroy. Praying for more and more dynamism in our lives. And may we start now aspiring to give and stop, get down from the me wagon that all of us are on. So may all our hearts be full of joy, love, contentment, compassion. praying this for myself and everybody. Thank you.